You are listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report, episode number 214.3, our NCAA Tournament report with Grant Shouse. Grant discusses the games that have been and the games that are to be in the 2025 NCAA Tournament.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Grant, it's the NCAA Tournament. It's always great. I want to preface it with that. But this tournament has been a dud so far. I guess that means that the final 4 rounds have to be great, right?
You hope so.
And it's set up to be.
I really hate to say that it's gonna, it's a dud, but I mean that's kind of what it's been, right?
Yes.
It's just not been great. It's been a little disappointing. I think it kind of finished strong. We saw some really. I think yesterday was probably the best day of the tournament so far.
It was.
With the Colorado State Maryland game, just what a great. I mean, that was a March Madness game. I mean, that was everything that a March Madness game, would entail.
And Florida UConn was a great game.
It was a good game, but man, Florida absolutely proved that they are capable and are dominant. They are a dominant basketball team.
They sure can be.
I wasn't impressed with UConn. This is going to be a kind of a hot take for me, but
that's why you're here, Grant.
I actually really like Dan Hurley, and I like how he coaches. He is he's competitive. He does let his emotions get in the way. He is a very nice guy. I've met him a couple times, and he's always been high character in terms of how he deals with people. Now, on the court, yeah, it's different. It's not great at times. It's almost childish. In fact, it is childish. But he's coached his team obviously in such a way that has won them 2 national championships in a row. And I was kind of glad. I wouldn't say glad, but I was kind of relieved that they got beat a little bit, because it then starts to get boring when, a team wins 3 national championships in a row, right?
Yes.
You don't want, you want to see someone else win it. And,
right.
And you don't want there to be a dynasty in college basketball. It just kind of takes away from, the fun of the game. It's like, oh, we're so used to UConn winning the national championship now. Thankfully, Florida took care of them, and Florida is a team that I could see very well cutting down nets on on that Monday night in April. So,
but you could also see them on Thursday night losing to Maryland, right? That's an awfully good Maryland team.
That's kind of. The tournament has been so chalk here so far, and
yep, it's going to make for some great games down the line. It should.
Right. Look at the matchups that we have. Just going down the list, you get Michigan and Auburn, Ole Miss and Michigan State. Could you imagine? And we said it earlier in our preview. Could you imagine a Michigan State-Michigan Elite Eight game? How electric that would be.
That would be great.
Florida, Maryland, Texas Tech and Arkansas, Duke, Arizona, BYU, Alabama, Purdue, Houston, Kentucky, Tennessee, there in Indianapolis. It is a tough ticket there at Lucas Oil Stadium.
What I really want to see is an Elite Eight game between Purdue and Kentucky. So that's what I'm hoping
I don't know
for.
who I'd root for. That'd be
the good guys. You would root for the good guys, Grant.
Who are the good guys in this sense?
You know who the good guys are.
I don't know. I've had a hard time thinking Kentucky are the good guys. But now, since the tournament, is kind of like it is like this, and you have your better teams advancing. What I do like is that it makes the tournament feel like it's more wide open. It's more of a wide open field now.
For sure.
I think, this time next week we'll know what the Final Four is, and I think it's going to be a good Final Four. I hope it is. I hope it's I hope that there's teams that are capable of winning it. You don't want to see
Like
a team
13
like
of them, probably.
yeah, like you don't want to see. I hate to say it, but I don't really want to see BYU in the Final Four. Like I just have I have a hard time believing BYU is going to win
Ole
a
Miss
national
is
championship.
mine. Ole Miss just, to me, is not basketball.
I would like to see them get in it
Ugh.
because of Chris Beard. But I don't want to see them win a national championship. You know what I mean? Like you're right. Ole Miss is just not a basketball brand. I feel like you want a basketball brand to win a national championship. So I'm not real good with
Right.
Alabama.
Me too.
I don't think
I agree.
Alabama is a basketball brand.
I agree
Um,
most of the time.
I don't think Tennessee is a basketball brand, believe it or not.
But
Now
it's become much more
it's
so.
become a brand, but it's really I just don't really I have a hard time believing Tennessee can win a national championship, let alone get to a Final Four.
Well,
You
let's
know,
go back. Let's go through this region by region real fast. We talked a little bit about
do
the
it.
West. I think that Florida Maryland is the game. Nothing against Texas Tech and Arkansas, obviously capable of beating good teams, both of them. But I don't
Yeah.
think either one of them is a national championship contender.
I don't see either Texas Tech or Arkansas getting out of that region. I think whoever
Right.
wins that Florida Maryland game is going to the Final Four. I think they'll win the Elite Eight. But then again, I mean, Arkansas has been clicking at the right time, beat
True.
Kansas, beat St. John. So it wouldn't shock me if they beat Texas Tech. And, Coach Calipari being there in his first year, that would be, I mean, wouldn't that be something? Making the move from the kind of the shocking move from Kentucky to Arkansas when nobody expected it, and in his first year he takes in the Final Four. So I wouldn't be mad if that happened.
I'll tell you what, John Calipari makes hating SEC teams a lot easier.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's very well, Greg. We could see an all SEC Final Four.
We could.
I mean,
We could.
I hope not, but I mean, think about that.
Yeah, that would be horrible. Let's not do that. All right, let's go to the East because that's also on Thursday night. Sure looks like Duke is the team in that one. But Alabama's looked really good. Honestly, Arizona, if they shoot the way they've been shooting, is dangerous to Duke for sure. And BYU is awfully talented.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with Duke to come out of that region.
Sure looks that way.
I like where they're at. I think I just think they're the juggernaut team. But that being said, with Alabama, it honestly surprises me that they made it out of the first weekend. I thought they'd get beat. I thought they were going to get upset.
I picked St. Mary. I had 3 number 1 seeds in the Final Four and St. Mary's. I thought St. Mary's was that good.
Yeah, I mean, I had St. Mary's beating them yesterday, and they just came out flat. And I think the question coming in was Grant Nelson and his injury, and he proved to be.
Yeah, he looked good. They looked good.
He could be okay.
They did not look great against Robert Morris for the first 30 minutes, but they looked good against St. Mary's for sure.
Yeah, that was my concern. Is I didn't think they would beat St. Mary's because Robert Morris, Bobby Moe gave him such a good game, and they I think shut a lot of people up.
Honest.
Yeah, Arizona last night should have almost threw the game away.
Yes, they did
against Oregon. I mean, they were up. What was it, 7 with 2 minutes to go, and they threw it away. Oregon had an opportunity to take the lead under 30 seconds to go, and just came up short. I think Duke's going to beat Arizona pretty handily. I think Alabama's going to beat BYU. I would say handedly, but I think they'll beat them. I think they'll beat them pretty good, and then that's going to set you up for a Duke-Alabama regional championship there in the East. Go to the Final Four, and
can both of them lose?
It'll be a good game. 2 really good guards there. Sears from Alabama. You got Tyrese Proctor from Duke, and Cooper Flagg and Con Knipple against Grant Nelson, and just those guys that they have. Man, you couldn't have asked for a better team. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the BYU Alabama game. I'll be interested to see what happens there. I still don't believe in Alabama, but I obviously acknowledge they're good enough. They're talented enough to win a national championship. I'm not
They
stupid.
are.
I'm not
Yeah.
stupid, but I have a feeling they go down this week. So, all right. Let's move over to the South where we have Auburn and Michigan. That should be a great game. And Ole Miss, Michigan State should also be a very good game, and that should be a great region with 3 really good games.
Yeah. I mean, every region is going to be so good. At least that's what it looks like on
Looks
paper,
like
right?
that's what we thought
Um,
about the first 2 rounds.
yeah. I like Michigan State to beat Ole Miss. New Mexico gave Michigan State fits,
I
but
really like that
Michigan's,
New Mexico team, man. I'm a
yeah.
little disappointed they lost that game.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun to watch, but
Yeah.
um, Michigan State is just so quick and so athletic and
So is Ole
very
Miss.
well coached. And I like Michigan State to still come out of that region. Um,
I think Michigan.
you think Michigan?
I think I like Michigan to come out of that.
I
I
I
picked
I
Auburn originally. You know, I really like the way Michigan's playing.
I'm gonna pick Michigan to beat Auburn. Actually, just Auburn is, they beat Creighton, but they didn't play their best game against the 16 seed
Nope.
Alabama State.
No, they
They
ended up winning that game
stumbled
by
down the
20, but
stretch a little bit.
they ended up winning that game by 20. But when I left with 15 minutes to go, I think they were ahead by 2.
Yeah, and
And that was against a 16 seed from the SWAC, which those teams are usually just horrible. And they looked good against Creighton. I thought Creighton might give them a game because of the way they played in the first round. One of the rules about the NCAA tournament is if you don't play well in the first round, you rarely make a 6-game run.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You don't just play. Now that has happened. I mean,
It has.
in, in instances, it has happened. It happened, with North Carolina State in 1983. They were
Yes.
beat in their first round game and then went on and,
It
you know,
has happened for sure.
yeah,
But yeah, the
maybe
NC
this
State
national
won every single
championship.
game by like 2 points that entire tournament. So they're kind of a different story. But it doesn't happen
Yeah.
very often where a team plays poorly in the first round and then goes on to win, even get to a Final Four. It just doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. I mean, that team was literally nicknamed the Cardiac Pack for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yes.
I mean, um, but like I said, I like Michigan and Michigan State to match up in that regional final there in
That would be
Atlanta.
great.
I like Michigan State to beat Michigan and go to the Final Four in San Antonio. But I would like, I wouldn't be mad if Michigan got out of there. But I'm still going with my pick is the Spartans.
I kind of hope Michigan comes out of there. Of course, I'm an Auburn fan as well. My uncle is one of the all-time greats at Auburn, so I hope it's Auburn. I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
All right, the final bracket is the 1, 2, 3, 4 bracket. Number 1, Houston. Number 2, Tennessee. Number 3, Kentucky, and number 4, Purdue. It starts with on Friday night with Tennessee and Kentucky. Um, an all SEC game, a rivalry. Should be a good one.
Man, it's a shame that Purdue game's not going to start till about 10:30 on Friday night, the night before the state championships. Let me tell you, if you love basketball, Indy is the place to be Thursday through Sunday.
That's right.
They're having open practice there for all the teams on Thursday at Lucas Oil, and then Friday night the 2 games. Saturday the state championship for the boys, and then the regional championship to go to the Final Four on Sunday back at Lucas Oil. So it's the place to be, and it literally has the best matchups in the tournament: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that rarely ever happens. I can't remember the last time it happened. That's how chalk this tournament has been. We talked about it after the first that like to see Purdue play Gonzaga because they match up better with Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Than they do Houston. Just
Yes.
Houston's a different animal, and
Yes, it
they do it
is.
with their defense.
Yep.
But the thing is Purdue, in my opinion, has maybe the best coach in the country. So they're going to find ways to exploit that. They're gonna have a good game plan. I would not count out Purdue to go back to the Final Four here, but
with six
I'm
with
gonna
6 full days to
I'm gonna
prepare.
pick Houston. Huh?
Yeah, of course. I'm taking Houston as well. I picked Houston to win it all. But you're giving Matt Painter 6 full days to prepare for a Houston team Kelvin Sampson, I'm not going to say he's a bad coach. He's a good coach. But he's not on Matt Painter's level. And I completely expect Houston to win this game going away. I would say double digits, maybe 8 to 10, maybe even 16 because they're that much more talented or seasoned and talented. And but I do think Purdue has a chance. And if they win this game, I think they have a chance to beat anybody.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the thing is, you got to factor in with Houston is that they're going to be playing. They're going to be playing basically a road game. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of Purdue fans. Like tickets to get in that thing are ridiculous. It is actually ridiculous. I don't know how people have that much money, but they do. And
I won't be getting in.
oh, I won't be either unless somehow someone gives me a press pass. I'm not sitting up with the birds there. And you know, if you're sitting up high for that game at Lucas Oil, if you're listening and you're going and you're sitting in the nosebleeds, let me tell you this right now: bring binoculars, or you're not going to see a thing. Will Berg, 7'2" from Sweden, from Purdue, is going to look like an ant if you're sitting up in the nosebleeds. That's how far away you're going to be. But then again, Purdue's going to have the tenacious defense in front of them with Houston, and I think Purdue played really well in their first 2 games. Granted, they were 2 double-digit seeds, High Point, and then McNeese got – I wouldn't say they got lucky because they played well against Clemson, but Clemson just had a horrible first game, and they came back. If that game went on a few minutes longer, I think Clemson could have won.
Yeah,
Uh,
I here's my thought on that. Grant. Yes, they're 2 double-digit seeds, but they were 2 double-digit seeds that made me nervous as a Purdue fan. So I thought they
well,
played really well. And if it was a tournament, a 2-on-2 tournament, and the team with the best 2 players wins, Purdue would be right there.
yeah, no question about it. And, Braden Smith is the best point guard in the country, and he's going to put that on full display. And you look at the other matchup with Kentucky and Tennessee. That's a rivalry game,
Yeah,
and it's a rivalry game that is drivable for those fan bases too. So
absolutely.
there's going to be a lot of Kentucky and Tennessee fans there. There's going to be a lot of Kentucky and Purdue fans.
Poor Houston.
Yeah, Yeah, I know. They got to pick where they wanted to go, and then they get basically both games. Even if they play Kentucky or Tennessee, they're almost going to be playing a road game because their fans are going to eat it. If they beat Purdue and they go to the regional championship game, then they're going to be playing a road game because those fans are going to travel.
Houston had their choice between Indianapolis and San Francisco, and probably should have taken San Francisco.
They probably should have, but Florida gets San Francisco, and poor Maryland. I mean, they played in Seattle this week. They got to fly all the way back to Maryland, and then they got to fly all the way back out there to San Francisco. Wow.
Yeah, and they get to play a Florida team that looks like a monster.
But like we said, they're very capable of winning.
Yes,
that game.
they are. They are awfully good. And first good 2.5 days for the Big Ten. The last day and a half wasn't quite as good, but it's been a good showing.
Yeah, and that's what you like to see because the Big Ten has kind of been a flop in recent tournaments
for a long time.
Yeah, and let me ask you a question. All right, this is a podcast. You interview me. I'm gonna interview you on this one.
All right.
The end of the Colorado State Maryland game. Should Derek Queen been called for a travel? Do you think he traveled?
I didn't think so originally. When they showed the replay, Susie was even like, "Whoa, he really traveled." It was close. They didn't call it, so it doesn't matter. Hey, there you go. Maryland moves on. I'm sure they missed a call the other way too. But it was a great play. It was a great shot. That is a very tough shot.
I know, and to be at an angle and have to bank it in off the glass. I mean,
going from right to left, fading away, using the backboard. As someone who was not good at basketball, I never in a million years could have made that shot.
Oh no, that's a really tough shot to make. no matter who you are. I mean, that takes a lot of skill.
Yeah.
My thing is in my opinion, you can't. I don't think as an official you can really make that call
Unless
there
it's
at that
obvious.
point in the game,
Unless it's obvious.
unless he like really like it's a no brainer. But
Yeah.
no official in their right mind is making that call. And here's the thing with people that are complaining that if they did make that call, you'd be sitting there saying, why would you make that call in that instance of the game?
Probably.
Why would you make that call?
Like I said, on replay, it looked like a travel. When it happened originally, it did not.
It did
So,
not.
of
No.
course, I can forgive the officials for not catching it
Oh
necessarily.
yeah.
And,
Oh yeah.
like I said, I think they do 99% of the time do a really good job. So I am
I
not going to
agree.
complain about officiating ever on this podcast because it's a hard job. So
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
I always say to people, unless you think they were actually cheating, I don't want to hear about officiating because they're doing the best they can, and that's the bottom line, and that's what makes sports great. I hate all the
It's a
replay
tough
stuff.
job,
Look,
man.
I hate all the replay stuff. Just go with what the referee calls and move on.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of calls that, because you can't make reviews until the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of calls where it's like for the first 38 minutes of the game, you have to live with that.
Yeah,
And then in the
exactly.
last 2 minutes, everything's got to have a look taken at it.
Exactly.
You got to take a look at it. This is really, I think, maybe the last big week of basketball for the year in terms of the NCAA tournament, and then the state finals coming up this week. It's going to be a really good week. I'm looking forward to talking about it with you because this is winding down. But what a time it is!
Well, then we'll have the NBA playoffs. So the basketball never ends, Grant.
But yeah, that's what I tell people. Basketball doesn't really end. It's
It
just the
doesn't.
season kind of dies down a little bit, and
That's
then it
right.
ramps back up.
Thanks so much for Grant. Love his knowledge and passion for the game at such a young age. Love having him as part of the Central Indiana Sports Report. And thank you for listening. Please share this with your friends and family if you would like to see the Central Indiana Sports Report continue to grow and thrive. Thank you in advance. Central Indiana Sports Report is brought to you by TG Media. I love Susie.